Hi, welcome to Open Education channel, and in this video we are going to see how we can implement JWT authentication in Node.js. So as part of it we will see how we can generate access token and also later how we can generate a refresh token, and also we will see how we can store our refresh token in some kind of a store like Redis cache, so that in later part we can revoke that refresh token so that we can prevent user to log into our system. This video will be in two parts. First, we will implement a quick way of JWT auth in Node.js where we will use only one single file in our source code. And then later we will use production grade similar setup where code will be split in multiple files, and we will use database for data persistence. So let's get started. First, I will create a folder where I can create my project. So I will open my terminal, which is command line here. And here I will go to my E drive and then go to demo folder. And here I will create a new folder. And folder name will be JWT-auth-node.js. So that's our folder. Let's get inside that, and here I will create a new node project. So I will just write npm init, so it will just create a new Node.js project, and actually it will create a package.json file, and it will ask me some questions which I mostly use to say yes. So I will just write dash s means dash y and hit enter, and it will create a package.json file in this current folder. So here you can see that it has given it a name, JWT-auth-node.js, then version, all those things. And here you can also see that it's saying that the main entry will be your index.js file. So we will need to create that. So to create that, I will first open this project in my choice of code editor, which is Visual Studio Code. So here I will just write code space dot and hit enter, and it will open Visual Studio Code like this. Okay, and let me close this, maximize it, and here I can just go ahead and create a new file that will be called index.js. So yeah, if I go ahead in the package.json file, here it's index.js, and I have just created index.js file. Now, actually, we will implement this JWT authentication in our web API. So we will need a web server. And for that, actually, we will use Express. So first we need to install some dependencies which we will be using in our project. And actually, I will not go ahead and install all the dependencies at once. I will install those dependencies as we will need them in our project. So let me open my terminal. So to open terminal, I will use control and tilde sign, and it will open here. So my terminal is command line, and here I can just write npm I for install, and then express. And as we are implementing JWT authentication, we will use a library called JSON web token, which will handle the creation of access and refresh token. So JSON web token, and also we will use a library called .env for loading environment variables, because we mostly use different secrets or configurations during our development and production environment. So it's better not to use them hard-coded in your source code. So we will use .env, and actually it will create a .env file. Means you will need to create a .env file where you will put your all the configurations in key value pair. Key is equal to value pair. When you will run your Node.js project, it will inject those configuration to your application. So we will see how we can use this library. So npm I for install, express, JSON web token, and .env. Now I will hit enter, and it will start downloading and installing these dependencies, and it may take time based on your internet connection speed. So here on my side, it's done. So let's first create a very basic web server, and for that, first we will require Express. So I will just write const Express is equal to require, and here we can use Express, something like that. And then we will need to create an instance of that. So I will use const app and Express, like that. And now I can just go ahead here and I can just write app.listen, and we will run it on port number 3000. And the second parameter is just optional, where I will use it just for indicating that our server is running. So I will just write console.log, and I can just write server is running ... So now here it's done. Now we can go ahead and run it using Node, and then we can just write index.js, hit enter, and you can see here it's saying server is running. It means it is running right now. And so after that, so the server is running. Now I will just go ahead and add some of the routes. So first of all, I will just comment it routes, and here first actually we need registration, but actually we are not using right now any database, so I will skip that, and I will use login. And in the login part, I will just use hard-coded logic. So there we will just check a specific user and their password. So here I will just use app, and yeah, mostly the login part will be post request, because in the body we will pass username and password. So I will use app.post, and here the endpoint, and endpoint will be the login, and then mostly request and response variables. So I will use this req and res, and here in that body I will just return response dot JSON, and in the JSON mostly I use three parts, where status, message, and if I am sending back any data, so I will use data key. But you can use any format you want for your responses. So I will use status, and that status will be like true, and then message, and message will be login success, and there is no data to send it back, so that I will use only these two for now. And I will go ahead and save it, and let's test this endpoint. So I will open Postman, and here in Postman I will just write our endpoint, which is localhost :3000/login, and if that will be a post request. We will need to post some data in the body, but right now we are not using it in our logic. I will hit send, and you're seeing that it cannot post login. And the reason for that is actually our server is running, but we have made some changes and we have not refreshed it. So I will just go ahead and stop it and run it again. And if I go back to Postman now, hit send, you can see I am getting this 200 status with our return JSON data. So you get the idea that you will need to refresh every time you made changes in your source code, and definitely we don't want that. So for that, actually we will use a library which is called NodeMon, and what it does that it watches your changes, and every time you will save any of your changes in your source code, it will again restart our server, so that we don't need to restart it manually every time. So I will go ahead first, stop this, and actually that node.mon will be development time dependencies, because if you come here and the package.json file, you will see here it's dependencies, which means what dependencies our application uses. But the node.mon is only for our local development time dependencies, so that should not be the part of our project. So I will go ahead here and I will just write npm install and then dash dash save dash dev. So it means that we are installing this package as development time dependency, and then I will write node.mon and hit enter, and it will again download and install this library in our project. So here you can see now it has added a dev dependencies option in our package.json structure. So also I don't want to use you can go ahead and just write node.mon index.js, but mostly people use some scripts like here, and I will use start, and here in the option I will use node.mon and index.js. So like this, let me save this, and here I will go ahead and write npm start, which should match with this start, hit enter, and you can see it is writing that watching that path. And now if I come back to our postman, hit enter again, it's running fine. Let me make any changes, like just remove this full stop from here just for testing purpose. Save it. You can see it, again restarted it, and I come back here, hit send, and you will see now our changes are reflected in our response. So that's why we need node.mon. So that's back to our business where we need to implement JWT authentication. So this is our login part, and first for login actually we need username and password. So what I will do, that I will use const username, and I will get it from the request.body.username, and then same way I will use a password field like this. And for now I am going to just hard code it. So I will use if condition, and that if condition is, say, if user name is equal to, say, Raj, and password is equal to 1234556, just a bad password. If these two conditions match, then we will say login is successful, like this. Okay, and if not, then we will just send status 401. There are different status you can use, you can research on that, but I will mostly use 401 here, and I will say login fail. Hit save, and let's come back to our postman, and in the body part I will select raw, then select JSON, and here I will just provide those username and password thing. So I will use say Raj, and password will be, say, for now let's give it right, correct username and correct password, and hit send, and you can see it's getting cannot read property of undefined. And the problem is that our server right now doesn't know how it can get the JSON body part from the request. So for that actually we will use a middleware. So mostly I use body parser, but here actually we are using Express, so We can go ahead and use the default JSON parser provided by Express. So I will write app.use, and this is the format we use middleware, and here I will just write app.json, just like this way, app.json, save it. App.json is not a function because it's not from the app thing, actually it's from the Express. So I will write express.json, save, server is running, come back to our postman. If I hit send, you will see it says true, login success. Say if I just provided wrong password, send, and you will get login fail. So yeah, this is right now the only the basic setup of our login, and now we need to implement our JWT part. So first of all, on successful login, actually we need to create a access token. So for that, first I will first go ahead and create a new file, which will be .env, because here we will be using some secrets. Okay, and I will show you what secret we will be using, because to generate JWT token, first we will need our JSON web token library. So I will use const JWT, and that will be required JSON web token. Okay, and here actually we means generating JSON web token is very easy. So I will just write const access token, just a variable name, and here we can use JWT dot sign. Okay, and that sign is the method which will create your access token, and the first thing which it requires is the payload. So the payload is I will just use the object way, and in the object people just put things like claims and when it was issued, and some very basic information, so that people can recognize who the user is. If you come here, jwt.io website, you can see the just like this is the very minimal JWT token, and here you can see that it's have subject, name, and issued at, and that subject is most people use their database IDs, some in the plain and some in some kind of hash format. So right now what we are going to do is just we will use our username in that. Okay, so come back to our application, and here I will just write sub, and here we will just give it username, this part, as a subject, and other things like when it was issued and expired, actually this library will automatically insert that. Okay, and the second part will be the secret, and it will be just a string, and that's why actually I created this env file. Okay, so for now actually you can go ahead and just write any number of string like that and use it to sign your JWT token. But what we will do, that we will use the Node.js built-in crypto library to create a random string, and for that actually I will go ahead and open a new terminal here, and here open node REPL, and here I will just write require, and I will just write crypto. Wow, it's kind of autocomplete, and here I will write random bytes, and that random bytes you can just give the length, so like 30, 40, say 50, or say let's go kind of 64, and then we need to convert that string into hex format. Okay, something like that. So it will just give you back a random string, something like that. Okay, so you can just copy it, right click, And in the environment file, actually what I will do that I will use a key JWT access secret, and I will give this string as its value. And actually, in the later part, we will also use refresh tokens. So I will just go ahead and create a new one also. Okay, something like that. And again, copy this, right click, and here I will write again JWT underscore refresh secret, 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 and again paste this. And actually we will also need timeline for our JWT tokens. So mostly access tokens are valid for like 1, 2, at max 6 hours, and refresh tokens people just keep some people keep 30 days, some people 60, 90, some even 1 year. So for now, actually what we are going to do is that we will just for the access token, we will just use kind of 30 seconds. So access time, and that will be like 30 s for second. And then on the next line, I will use JWT refresh time, and that will be your kind of say 30 days, so 30D. So now our .env file is complete. I will hit save and come back to index.js. And to use .env, first we will need to configure it. So here I will just write require and .env, and in the last we will use config. And now it's done. We don't need this terminal, so I will go ahead and kill this terminal. And here on our JWT sign part where we have left, I will just go ahead and use process.env and then the secret. Okay, so our secret is JWT access secret, this one, and I will just use process.env JWT access secret. And then we got some options where we need to provide, just like I will just use expires in. So that's why we added that key there. So process.env, and here I will just go ahead and copy paste that access time, and I will paste it here, and that's it. So yeah, I was just saying that I use an extra key like data to send back some data. So I will just use data, and here I will create a new object, and I will just pass that access token like this. Okay, and actually you can just write access token comma access token, but if you just write access token, it will give that the key name. Okay, and I will just save that, and if I come back to our Postman and let me make it right and hit send, you get that access token right here. So this is the way we can easily generate JWT access token. Now the next part is, if say we have any protected route, we need to verify if that access token is valid or not, and if that token is valid, then only we can allow the user to access that protected route. So to verify our access token, what we will do is we will create a middleware. So back in our project here, let me first create a say protected route. So say that will be like dashboard. It will be not dashboard, but say you are getting or sending back the dashboard JSON data. So I will use app dot, say it's just a get request, and let name is dashboard. This URL will be dashboard, and then again request response and that fat arrow function. And here what we are going to do is okay, I have some typo. Yes, here we are just sending back some response like hello from dashboard. Okay, so let me change this. Hello from dashboard. Okay, and right now actually if you try to access this URL, just let me copy this, create a new request and name it dashboard. And if we hit send, you can see here we are getting the dashboard without even providing any token. So that's why we need a middleware to verify this. So I will go ahead and here create our custom middleware, and I will give it name verify token. Okay, so that will be like function verify token, and that will be like request and then response, and actually it takes third parameter which is next, and actually this is the function which will be called when you have successfully executed your middleware. So here actually I will use try catch. Okay, and in this try catch, let me use this, and in this try catch, first what we will do that we will get or extract our token from the request header. So what happens that we mostly get token from the authorization header. So for that I will just write const say token, and I will use request dot headers dot authorization dot split, and actually the format of the token is means that string which we get from the authorization is like this: bearer is just a word bearer, then space, and then your token string. Okay, this is the format of that value in the authorization header. So what we'll do that we will split by space, and we will then take the second part. This is the request, this token string. So I will just split by say space, and actually that part will be, this part will be called 0, and this will be like 1. So I will take that first part like this. And here actually we are, I have not added any logic to check if that authorization header is present or not. You know, you can use that logic to validate, but I will not use that here. And now I will use JSON Web Token library to decode our token. So const decoded, and that will be JWT dot verify. Okay, actually for using this function there are two ways. Okay, first, which I am going to show you, and that will be the first part, it takes the token string, and then second part is your secret or public key, and we will use only that secret which we use to sign this JWT token, otherwise it will not work. So I will use this token, that access secret, which we use to sign this token. And now, there is a third method also, which is the callback function, that will be like a synchronous way. But actually I mostly use this format, and what it will do that if there will be any error, it will send it back here in our catch request. So here we can say if there is any error, we can just return, and we'll say response dot status and 401, and then you can use just like JSON, this same thing like here. Let me copy this and put it here, and the message we will say we'll use different, say your session is not valid, okay, something like that. And then I will also use this value to send back our error, but mostly you will not use this, because you would not like to send back the thing why it's the error. Keep it on your server side, just log it on your server side, okay. So yeah, and if this one is decoded, okay, correctly, then what I will do that I will just append this data in our request. So I will use request.user data, so that it can be used in our logic. We can get what is the username from here, and then I will just call this callback method next, this way. And so our this middleware part is done, and now we need to just copy this and put it in the middle here. That's why the name is middleware. So now if we will request our dashboard, it will first verify if there is token or not, okay. So let me go to our postman, hit send, and here it's saying your session is not valid, and showing this as empty because we have not provided any token. So I will go ahead and just again use this token. Let's use this token. I know that's its expiry time was 30 seconds, but just in case to show you, I will go ahead and select this bearer token right now here and just paste it, hit send, and you get token expired, okay. Your JWT token is expired. So if I go ahead and again log in and get a new token, copy this and let me paste it here, send it, and you can see we are getting hello from our dashboard. So it's working. And now if I just try again and again, and after 30 seconds it will just show us wrong token. Here it is, it's saying invalid token. So our access token part is done, but you can see here the problem is that every time your token is expired, you will go ahead and log in again and get a new access token and try to get the data using that, and that's not very user friendly, because people would get mad on every 1 hour, say, or every 3 hours they need to log in. In the banking application they used to ask, but in the most applications like Facebook and any other applications, social applications, they don't ask you every time for the password, and that's why we need a refresh token, okay. And implementing refresh token is a kind of broad thing, because there are many ways you can implement it. And by the way, this is the OAuth 2.0 authorization framework, where it has lots of info on how you can implement it. It's worth to see that, but I'm not going to cover it in this video. You can take a look on this one. So here now we will implement refresh token. So actually refresh tokens allow us to create a new access token without asking user to do login with username and password. as we saw, access token are issued for very short time, mostly 1 hour, like or max 6 hours. Asking user to log in every time access token expires, not a good thing. So instead of manual login, what we will do that on login, we will send the access token as well as a refresh token. And next time when that access token is expired, our client will send that refresh token. Our server will check if that refresh token is valid or not. And if it's valid, then it will provide a new access token. So we will not need to log in every time. In some implementations, people send back only the access token without changing the refresh token. But in most of the cases, what people do is they change the refresh token as well, but actually they maintain the expiration time of your refresh token. So in this tutorial, what we will do that we will use the refresh token as it is, just the refresh token, because some people just used to send only a string. There are many different ways to generate refresh token, like using GUID or UUID, but here I will be using JWT token with different secret key, and you can change it as per your requirement. You can just, it is just a string. You can use anything, either you can use JWT or you can use string, or you can use JWT and assign a string as the payload of your JWT. It's up to you how you will implement that. And there are two ways to handle the expiration times. Some people use the sliding one. So every time you will generate a new refresh token, that new refresh token will have that say, as we are using 30 days expiration time, the new token will also have the expiration time of 30 days. But in some implementation, what people do is that they just subtract the time. So if, say, the first time you log in and you generated a token for, say, 1 month, and after 2 days you generated a new refresh token, now the new refresh token will have only, say, if there is 30 days month, it will have only 28 days of lifetime. So here actually I will be using sliding expiration JWT token. So every time we will create a new refresh token, it will have same 30 days. But yeah, it's up to you. You can just subtract that time. So let's move ahead and implement the refresh token. So let's implement a refresh token. And to implement refresh token, I will go back to our project here. And here in the login method, as we are generating the access token, we can just go ahead and just copy and paste the same line. And instead of access token, what we can do that we can just write refresh token, okay? And we can use that second refresh token secret and also that timeline. Just copy this and here paste this, and again I will go ahead, copy this and paste it right here, save it, come back to Postman, and if I hit send again on login, I will get a refresh token right now here. Say if I want to check the contents of this refresh token, I will go back to JSON web token.io site. I will just paste it right here, and you can see we have the subject Raj, issued at, and when it will be expired, and that algorithm right now here. So you can see generating a refresh token is similar to access token. You can add if you want to, if you want to use UUID or any unique string, you can add it right here, say SEC secret, and your string, whatever your string you have, but I will not be using that. And now say you have logged in and generated the refresh token, but how you will get the access token from that refresh token? And for that, actually you need a new endpoint. and that new endpoint will be called app.post, and that new endpoint will be called your token. I will just call it token. There are different ways of implementing this method, like using grant type, and some people even use scopes, okay, because they send back access token based on the scopes. So say if you have application, you can give a single user 3 or 4 access token, one for just reading, and if that user want to delete any resource using that token, it will send them error. Yes, you see, you can just generate different tokens for different operation types, say for select, delete, or based on the role. Okay, now that kind is complicated, and it's like an advanced scope, and we are not going to cover that in this video. We are just using very simple implementation on JWT. And so this token, and again, you will need a middleware so that you can verify your refresh token. Okay, so I will just go ahead and create a verify refresh token middleware. So that will be like function and verify refresh token. That will be the method name, and I will just go ahead and just copy this whole thing like this. In this verify refresh token, first we would need to get the token, and what we will do that in our request we will put our refresh token in our request body. So we can just write const token, and that token will be request dot body dot token. And now next thing is that we will check if that token, if that person has provided token or not. Okay, so I will just write if token is null, then what we are going to do is, as we are just going to return an error, and here I can just say false, and here I have typo, means that should be a false, and that message will be invalid request for now, say invalid request, and I will not pass any data because it's null. Okay, so if the token is null, we are just sending back, okay, this is an invalid request. And say if there is token, we need to decode it. Okay, so just like here, actually we are not using the header now, so we can just delete this thing, and in the decoded part we can use the refresh token secret. Okay, and the same way decoded, and then we can just pass the decoded data to the user data. And now here actually we need to persist our token in some sort of store, because the reason is, say if user has already logged out from your server, how we will know if that refresh token is correct or not, because that refresh token will be valid for 60 days, and say you have just logged in, you get a refresh token, and after 1 hour you have just logged out. Still anyone can go ahead and use that refresh token to get a new access token, because it has expiration time of 30 days. So whenever we will generate a new token, means new refresh token, we are going to save it in some sort of store or database, and every time a person will request for a new access token using a refresh token, we will first check if that token is valid or not using this JWT verify, and then again we will check if that refresh token is in our store or not. Okay, so for that, actually first we will need any store method. So in the later part of this video I will be using Redis, but for now I'm going to use array. Okay, so let refresh tokens, and that will be an empty array. The only downside for now is that every time this server will refresh, it will just clear. So here I will first check if that refresh token is in our store or not. Verify if token is in store or not. So I will just use let store, say refresh token, and then we use that refresh token, that array, and we can use find. And find, actually we will be saving our token like username and then the token. Okay, and so x dot username equal to decoded this decoded payload, and we know that we are storing our username as subject, so dot sub here, and then we can check if we get if that token is not null or undefined. So let me check that. If that is undefined, we can again just return this same thing like here, and instead of means you can just send back the same message, but here I will just for the development time I will just use token is not in store. Okay, something like that. So yeah, we are verifying our token from the store, but when we are generating our token, we are not yet saving it in our store. So I will go ahead here in our login method actually, and I will write the logic of saving this refresh token in our store. Okay, so I will go ahead and say let not let say, so let's see, when we will generate a new refresh token, okay, we need to save it in our database, but say that person has already one refresh token in the database, then in that case we will need to update it. So first we will check if there is any refresh token for that user in our database. I will say just let store refresh token. Actually I will just go ahead and copy this whole thing, paste it here, and here actually we are using that username, so I will not use this decoded thing because this is our login method, so we will not have that decoded thing. So I will first check if there is any token related to that user, and then if that stored refresh token, say if it's undefined, because this method find, if there is no value related to your query, it will just give you a value with undefined. Okay, if this is undefined, you will need to add it. Okay, so I will do refresh tokens dot push, and here I will just use username to our username, and then token is our refresh token, this one. Okay, and say if there is already token in the store, we need to update it. So what I will do is I will just get this refresh tokens array, and from there first we need to find the index for our object which we need to update. So I will do find index, and here again I will just write x that x dot username is equal to username, and then this token will be our refresh token. Okay, so now this part is done. Whenever we will log in, it will just check if there is a already existing refresh token, then it will update it, otherwise it will add it. So yeah, back to our verify refresh token part. So our verify refresh token part is done, and if I go to our endpoint where we were getting the new access token, I will just use this middleware, and then again I will use request response, then fat arrow function, and here in this body we will generate a new access token. So I will just copy this thing, copy it and paste it here, and actually we need to get this username, and that username, actually from the verify refresh token you can see we are providing this decoded payload to our user data. So I will use this user data thing here on our token. So I will just go ahead and write const username such that request dot user data dot sub, because it's subject. All right, we are signing it as subject in our payload, and then that subject will be this username, right? And then again we will need to generate a new refresh token which we will send it back. So actually we have already this thing here, so I will just copy this and I will create a new method. I don't want to just duplicate all this logic, so I will just write function and generate refresh token, and that refresh token, actually we will need username as a parameter because we are saving that username in our payload like this. So here's our username which is going here, refresh token, and then our logic to check and update or add it, and then here we can just return our refresh token. Return refresh token. Just let me format that. So I will just select all this and hit Control KF, and it will format it like this. And I will go ahead and copy this generate access token, refresh token. Come back here in our this login method. I will just select all this thing, delete it, and I will call this method, and I will just pass our username right now like this. And again I will just copy this whole thing, okay, and I will just put it in our token method like this. And here instead of login success, we will just go ahead and just write it like, okay. So yep, this part is done. Our refresh token part is done. Let's save this and come back to Postman. So in our Postman, let's again do login. So I will just hit send. I'm getting this access token. I will just copy this access token, come here to our dashboard, and put this in this field as token, send it, and here I am getting, means it's working, and after 30 seconds it will, it will no longer be valid. So if I hit send again, you can see that our session is expired, and I will need to request a new access token from our server. So I will go ahead, copy this thing, create a new request here, paste it, and instead of login I will write token, and this will be a post request, and in the body we will pass our token. Okay, so that name will be just token, and here we will give our refresh token, which is this thing. Okay, let me copy this, paste it here, send it, and you can see I got a new access token. And if I copy and go back to our dashboard, hit send again, you can see it's working, and after 30 seconds it will be invalid. So see here it's invalid. And now the thing which I was saying, that right now we are storing our refresh token in this refresh token array, and say again, if I just go back here, and when we requested our token we get a new refresh token. Okay, right? And let me copy this, okay, first, and let me show you, if I try to get a new access token using the older refresh token, what will happen? So the current refresh token, I have just copied that. If I hit send, why it's happening? It's still working. It should not be working like this. So let me check. Okay, this must be working, but let me check. So back to our code, there must be some check which is getting failed. So when we are accessing our token with our refresh token, it's somehow not able to check if that token is expired or not. So there must be in verify refresh token part. And here we are decoding the token, then we are checking that token if it's stored or not, and then we are checking if it's undefined or not. But here we are not checking if that token is the same token as we are sending it back. Okay, so I will just copy and paste this thing, and in the refresh token here, that thing is stored as a token. So like this, okay, this part, let me copy this and let me put it like here, and let me check if it is the same token. Okay, and if it's not, then token is not, I will just put like same in a store. Okay, I will just hit save again. That refresh token is now refresh, means that store is now clear. So we will need to do again login. So I will go back to our login method, hit send back, and copy this refresh token, like here, come back to our token part, and let me paste it here, click on send. Why we are getting something like that? It's the refresh token, right, which we have just generated. This token which we have just generated, it should work fine here. So if I send back, token is not same in the store. So again I will go back. These bugs every time. Store token is equal to token. No, I have miss PAR using the wrong logic here. Actually, we have to check if that token is not the same as the store token, then we have to send its bad token. So that will be like this, that not equal to same token. Now if I come back, okay, again I have to just hit send, copy this, come back to this token part, paste it, send it. We are getting this refresh token. Let me copy this again, and if I hit send, it will send us that this token is not the same in the store. And if I go ahead and again paste that token which is currently in our store, hit send, we are getting it. Okay, now let me check if I can get access with this access token. Send hello from the dashboard, so it's working fine. Okay, now the one more thing is the logout method. Just like whenever we are refreshing, you can see it's clearing out the refresh token. But of course, in your production environment, when you will have any store, you will need to manually delete that. So what I will do, that I will just show you a way how you can just remove it from this. So I will go in our application and dashboard part. Actually, I will just go ahead and create a new endpoint logout. Okay, and that logout part will require your access token. So here we have this verify token, and if that access token is valid, okay, what we will do, we will remove that refresh token entry from our store. So again, we will do this thing. We will get the username, request, and we will get the username same from this user data. Okay, that will be your sub part, and then remove the refresh token. So what I will do, that I will just select all those records which are not assigned to that user and assign it back to our refresh token. Okay, I will just write username, and here I will again send success. Okay, save it, come back to our Postman. Again, here I will just generate a new access and refresh token. I will go ahead, copy this. I will use our token to get our dashboard. Yeah, it's working fine. And let me just use or create a new request with logout. And let me check if this logout is get or post get. Okay, no problem. And in this authorization header, actually we need to pass our beer token, and we will just copy and paste this token right now here and hit send, and saying your token is expired. So again, we will need new access token. Copy this, go to our token generation endpoint and hit send, get your access token back. Okay, let me check again. It's working fine. Yeah, it's working fine. If I go ahead and paste this, I hit, before I will just show you if it's working or not, the refresh token part. Say this was the current refresh token you were getting, okay? Working fine. If you go ahead and hit send, again, no, it's expired. So I will, because it's just 30 seconds, I will just copy this thing and put it here, the success token, and that should be true success. Now, if you will go ahead and try to access this token to get a new refresh token, okay, and actually it's empty. That's why it's saying token is not in the store. So this is the way you can implement JWT access token and refresh token. So this was the first part. It's a very easy part. We are not using any store or database. These were just hard-coded things. And in the next part, what I will be doing, that I will be creating a new register method where I will be using a database to store our users. I will be using MongoDB, and I will be using Redis to store our tokens. So meet you in the next part. Okay, now in this part, we will refactor our code because right now we are using just one single file. And also we will use database like Redis and MongoDB for data persistence. So we will start with our pending route, which is a registration. And in the refactoring process, actually, what we will do that we will create different folders and files for our routes. We will put all our routes endpoints in one file, and then we will create a middleware folder, and we will put all of our middlewares in there, and also all of our business logic like creating user, all these things will be in specific controllers. So we will follow that pattern. So let's go back to our code here, and we can see we have this long file like this. So what I will be doing, that I will go ahead and create some folders, okay? So like new folder, and that will be called controllers, okay? And then I will create one more folder for our routes like this, and then our middlewares, okay? And actually we are going to use MongoDB here, so I will be creating one more folder, not here, outside, okay? By mistake, this folder is created, which I will be deleting it. Yes, delete it. Yep. And here I will go ahead and create a folder called models, like this, okay? So I will start with the routes one, and here I will go ahead and create a new file, and this will be, let's give this name auth dot route.js. Actually, I'm putting this name like route and middleware because what will happen that I will have, like, say, users. If I have a file like users, so it will be in controllers. That users file will have a logic related to the user creation and management in the controllers. That will be also called user.js file, and I will also have routes related to the users in the routes, and it will also be called user.js file. Then here it will not look very good. That's why I put route.js. And the same way in the controller, I will put users.controllers.js. So in this auth.route.js, what I will be doing is that I will break all these endpoints separately, and I'll put it in the auth.route.js file. Okay, and same way we will have some middlewares. So I will also go ahead and create a new file here, and I will say auth.middleware.js. Also, we will need users model and users controller. What we will do that in this middleware file, actually, we will put all these middlewares. See this token, all our custom middleware in this file. Okay, and also here in the models folder, I will go ahead. Let me just go ahead and create. I will create a user dot model.js, and it will have all our users related model, like the database model for our user class. I will be using MongoDB here, so let me stop this, and I will go ahead and install MongoDB. Okay, so I will do npm install. And for using MongoDB, we will be using a library called Mongoose. So Mongoose, and hit enter, and it will start downloading and installing this package in our project. So it has installed Mongoose in our project. So if I go back to our package.json file, you can see it's here. Now let's go ahead and open our users.model.js file, and what I will do is that I will create a Mongoose schema, and that schema will be converted into a table in our MongoDB. So I will do const. First we need to get that Mongoose library. So require Mongoose like this, and then we will create our user schema. Okay, user schema. So new Mongoose dot schema, and here you can define the columns sort of. So username, and type will be string. Actually, what I will do is that I will just give minimal set of columns for this. So I'll be just using username and password. And in Mongoose, you don't need to specify the ID column, because in MongoDB, it will automatically create column called _ID. So we don't need that. So I will just create only 2 columns here. So type string if it's required. Yes, it's required. And there's also options like what will be the minimum character, say for 6, and what will be the maximum character, say 255. I will not go ahead with the very details of MongoDB here, because it's just for integrating JWT authentication in that. So first one was username, and then we will have a column called password, and it will be also what type of string, and is it required? Yes, so true. So this is our schema, and now we need to export it. Okay, so module exports, and then we need mongoose what is this model, and the name of the table, that will be user, and our schema, that is we have just created user schema. So this is the user model. I will go ahead and save it, And coming back to index.js, here we have this registration part, but now we have to move all our routes in a specific route file. Okay, so what I will do is that I will start moving our routes in this file. So first of all, we need to get the router from the express, because up until now we are using this app.post, which is already in this single file, so we don't need that. But we have actually split our files, then we need a reference for our router. Okay, so const route. Okay, and it will be first we will get from the express, so we'll require express, and then router. Okay, and now this is the route variable. We can go ahead and move our API endpoints right now here. So I will start with route dot post for our register method. Okay, which we have to create. So I will go ahead and write register. Okay, and the format is like route.post, and here you will write the endpoint as you will write like here in the login. Say if we take this one, so you have the endpoint, then you have your middleware, and then you have your logic. So what will happen that in the refactoring process, we will move this part, this logic part, into our controllers. Okay, and we will move these files into our middleware. Okay, so here for the register part, actually we don't need any middleware. You can add middleware for validating, username, password, all those things. But here I'm not going to use it because here in this video we are using middleware only for the JWT authentication. You can integrate your validation into that. There's no problem in it. But in this case here we will need a controller. Okay, we can go ahead and write that same logic right now here. It will work fine, but actually we are refactoring it. Then we should create that in a separate file. So in the controllers, I will create a new file that will be called user.controller.js. Okay, and in this user controller, I will first of all go ahead and require our model. Okay, so I will do const user, and we just need to require our model, and our model is in our models folder. So what I will do that I have to go one folder up in this folder. Okay, so going one folder up is double dot then slash, and here in Visual Studio Code shows you the path. Okay, we need to go to our models, and then we need to select user.model, and in Node.js it will automatically append that .js file in the last, so we don't need that. Okay, and then actually we need a register method. So what I will do is I will just create a function register, and that will be like request response, and here we will be getting our username and password from our request body. Okay, so I will do first of all const and user is equal to new user. Okay, so new user, which is this schema, and here we will pass our fields. So username, that will be our request dot body dot username, and the same way we will get the password. So password and the password. Okay, so this is our variable. Now we can do try catch here. So we need to create a user. So we will use save function, which is provided by Mongoose, and we will get back the data. So to store the saved data, we will use saved user, and then we can use user dot save, and it will be a synchronous method. Okay, so we need to await it. So I will do await, and if you are using await, you need to define your function as async. So I will go ahead here, the starting, I will mark it as async, and after it will calling this user dot save, it will create a new record in the database, and here we can just write response dot JSON, which is our express method, and again I will just write status, that will be true, and then message will be registered successfully. Okay, and here I will just send back the new created record, so data, and that will be your saved user. Okay, and if there is any error, so you will need to do logging in DB or any C file, but we are not going to do that. So right now here we will just send it back some of the response. I will say like 400. Send the status like 400. Okay, and the status JSON request will be status like false, and here I will just write no, what, something went wrong, or any message you want to pass. And if you want, you can send back this error, but in production scenarios you will not send it back, but here I am just adding it. And after creating this method, we need to export this so that we can use it in any other file. So I will go ahead and do the same thing, that is module.export, and you can just mention this method, but actually we will be adding other business logic here also, because we already have that login method, so we will be using that here. So what I will do that I will go ahead and create a new object like this, and I will add this register method here like this. Okay, I will save it. So this is our user controller, and back in our auth route.js, what we can do that we can first require this file. So I will go ahead, use const, and that will be user controller. Say this is the variable name, and same way we will require the same file. So it's in our controllers, and here we have user controller. Okay, and semicolon, and here I will just go ahead and write like user controller dot, you are getting with that register method. Okay, and again we need to export so that we can use this route, means we can attach this route to our main index.js file. I will use exports and this same route variable, because what we are doing that we are adding everything in this single variable. Okay, save it, and back to our index.js file, we need to add our routes here. So I will go ahead and add here like routes. We have already routes, but now we are getting them from another file. So again, we need to first get those routes. So I will again write const, and these are auth related routes. So I will write auth underscore routes, and it will be require, and it's it's that this file index.js is at the root level. So I will get the current folder, and from the current folder I will go to our routes, and we will use auth.route. Okay, and now we need to register our route in our app. Okay, so for that we will do app.use, and in the app.use, you can just write it like this. Say now actually what we were doing, that up until now we were using localhost example.com/token. So now we can leave it like this and add our routes, but mostly in the bigger projects you have multiple routes, so that you will have like example.com/auth/get tokens, example.com/user/get profile. So you can mention or configure that here. So I will be using like auth, and then we will use auth routes like this. Okay, also you can set up your API versioning also. So here you can just write like v1, so that will be version 1. So say after some times you want to decide to add any other route or any other functionality response type, you can just add a new file, and you can register it using say version v2/auth. You can use that same other file. So that way also you can use versioning here. So yeah, so our route is now set up. We don't need this refresh token thing, because we will be using Redis. So let me delete this. Okay, and we also don't need this registration part. Okay, now this login part, we have a login, and then our login business logic. So what we'll be doing is we'll go back to our auth route, and we will copy and paste again, and this will be our login method like here, and we will move this thing, this whole part, in a separate method in user controller, and we will call it login. So function login, and then request, and then response, and we can paste it right here. Now up until now we were using this hard-coded things, but we don't need that. So I will use our MongoDB to fetch our users. So first of all, let's do const and user, and here again we will use await user dot find one. Okay, and we need to pass the values. That username will be like username, and the password will be password. Okay, now here here when I was writing this, it's not a good idea to store your password as plain text. So you can use you can encrypt your password. Okay, you can encrypt your password using any library like bcrypt, but I'm not going to use that. So but yeah, it's advised that you should use those things, because adding that will be make this video more longer, and I don't want that right now. And so yeah, that's one thing to mention. And after user.find1, you will give your username and password value, which we are getting from the request body, and you will do execute. Okay, so it will execute it, and give it back the result. And so here we need to check if user is null. If it's null, it means that username password didn't work. So now in this case, we need to send back a response of say 401 and status false. And mostly what we do is that we specify that username or password is not valid, not valid, and we don't need this data part, okay, because we are not sending back anything. And we already have this access token thing which we need in case username and password is correct. So we will copy all this thing, copy it, and we will paste it right here. Okay, move this. So let's review. Yeah, username, password, we are getting user. If it's null, sending back a generic message, and if it's correct, we are generating access refresh token and sending it back to the user. So this is the login part, but here we have actually used await, so we need to specify it as async. So this async function, and now we need to add it here. So like this, save it, and if we go back to our routes, here we can specify our login part. Now let's get back to our index.js method, and here we don't need this, so let me remove this, and then we have our token part. So let me move it also. I will come back here, and again this was token, and in this token part actually we have verify refresh token. This is the middleware, so we need to move our middleware in this auth middleware.js file. What I will do is that I will go ahead and get these two functions, which is our custom middleware, to here. I will go ahead and cut it from here, and if I go to our auth middleware, I can just paste it here, and actually we need JWT here also, so I will go ahead and copy this JWT, paste it here, and in the verify token we are just splitting the token, and we are doing verification, and then we are sending back our token. Then we have our verify refresh token, where we are getting back our token from the body, then checking if it's not null, and then we are generating a new, verifying that refresh token, and we are checking it in memory like this. So what actually we will be doing is we will be using Redis to store our refresh tokens. So actually we will need to install Redis library. So let's install that, npm install, that will be Redis. Okay, and just hit enter, and it will again download and install the Redis library in our project. So it's done. And let's verify this if it's there. Yeah, it's here. And in our middleware part, instead of checking if the token is in our in-memory array, we need to write a query to get data from the Redis store. So I will go ahead and create a new file, and that will be called, not in the middleware, actually in the root of the project, and I will call it Redis _connect. dot JS. Okay, and here I will be just first getting our required Redis library. Redis, and not here, and then I will connect to Redis. I will write const, and actually I'm making const so that we can just provide it to the other files who will consume this Redis client. Okay, so Redis client ent. Okay, client, that will be Redis dot create client, and again we will store our database credentials and endpoints in our env file. So I will go in my env file, .env file, and here I will write first Redis host, and actually I will show you that Redis part, so I will leave it like this. I'm not going to write the endpoint right now, but I'm just writing the required key in our .env file. And then also we need Redis port, and I'll be using the default port, so that is 6379. And also we are using our MongoDB, so I will be using DB connection string, so DB say con string, and that will be our MongoDB, which I will be updating shortly. So this is here. If I go back where I was, okay, yeah, Redis client. Now here I need to write process.env, and first option is your Redis port. So we'll go ahead and do Redis port, and second option is your host. Okay, process.env dot host, something like that. And just for indicating that we have successfully connected, I will write client.on connect. We'll be using a function just to write our message, console.log Redis client connected. Okay, so you can also use the fatorer function just for showing. So module.exports, because we will be using this Redis client in our auth middleware, means wherever we need to access our refresh token. Okay, so I'll be assigning this Redis client. Let me format it. Okay, so this Redis client is Redis connect file is done. Now if I go to our auth middleware part where we left, first we need to check if there is any refresh token with that username. Okay, so I will be doing Redis. Okay, sorry, first we need to import it. So const Redis client, and we will require, and back to our logic, we have Redis client dot get, and we need to pass the key because Redis is just a key value pair. Okay, so we will use decoded dot sub, and sub is the subject, that username. Okay, but as we are actually using now MongoDB, so what we will be doing, that we will be assigning our ID to that. Okay, so that ID will be integer part, and Redis only takes it as a string format. So in that case, actually we need to convert it into the string. So I will use to string, just not any format, specific format, just string. And then second part is error and data, and I will be using that this asynchronous way, so that's why I am using this callback method. And if there is any error, okay, I will just throw that error. And say if there is not any error and we get the data, and for some case that data is null, okay, then we will return our response with status. Actually, it's better to copy this. Uh-huh. 401, but it's not 401, 403, anything you can use. And the status is false, and I will just write that invalid request token is not in the store, the same old thing. And then we need to do this part. Okay, if token is not same as the saved token, so I will just move it right here. And actually this is an object, so I will just use JSON parse to convert it into a JSON format. Okay, the data, and we will use token. So actually, what will be the field we are using right now? Token. And this token, the same thing, if they are not equal, then it will send back token is not same as in the store. Okay, and we can move our next method here, and we can go ahead and delete these two. Okay, we don't need that. So that part is done, verifying refresh token. Now we need to change our logic, how we are generating our token. So we are generating our token in our login method. So if I go open our user controller here, we have our access token and this refresh token, and token saving our refresh token in our store is written in our generate refresh token method. So what I will do is that I will copy that generate refresh token from our index method. Here it is. I will just cut it from here. We don't need that. Cut it, and back to our user controller. I will just paste it here, generate refresh token, and actually we don't need it anywhere else, so we will not adding it here. And in this part, refresh token, the same way we are checking it in memory, I will do Redis client, but every time I forget, we need to get the reference of it. So Redis client require, and it's in controller. So yeah, let's connect. It's the correct path. And if I come here and Redis client dot, first we need to check get, and the same way actually instead of username, actually we are going to use ID. So like here, if say we are logging in, so say if login is successful, when we are generating this refresh token, we need to assign, instead of username, I will assign it user ID. Okay, so here we can just write user, which is this object dot underscore ID. You can get it, this document's ID. So I will use this, and the same way in the generate refresh token, I will pass same ID, user dot underscore ID. So here at the generate refresh token, instead of username, that will be user ID. Okay, just rename it so that it's clear here. And this subject is user ID, and getting that, actually this will be tier type value. So I will use user ID dot to string. Okay, and the same callback method, that is error, and then data. Then you can use factor function, and again if there is any error, we will throw back error. Otherwise we need to add or update it. But in the Redis, actually what it does, that if there is value already, it will update it, and if there is no value, it will automatically add it if you will use this set command. Okay, so I will be using this set command. I will just use this user ID dot to string, and I need to JSON dot stringify this object, which is our refresh token. Okay, and now here we don't need this username and this kind of stuff, because our user ID is going as a key here. So we can just stringify, we can just assign it that value. And as we are using, if I go here, we are using this token, so I will just write it like token and your refresh token thing. Okay, and we need to delete this, and we need to return our refresh token. Okay, so here you can go ahead, if you would be using any await function here, so you could use async, and then again you have to use await here. I'm not going to use it right now. So our generate refresh token part is also moved here. And back to our auth middleware, where we have this verify refresh token thing. This part is also done. And if we go back to our token thing here, where actually we needed that verify refresh token, we can get this middleware, same way we get this user controller. So I will be using auth middleware. Okay, and that part will be middlewares, auth middleware, and here we can write auth middleware dot. We have not exported this. You see, you get that? So we need to do module dot exports, and we will be exporting this verify refresh token and also this verify token. Let me this, yeah, save it. And coming back to our author.js, now if I try to access it, here we have, so in token we will verify our refresh token, comma, and then after that it will pass it to our user controller login method. So our three part are moved, and I guess I have only one left right now, and that is our, oh, we have actually two, dashboard and logout. So first, let's move this logout part, right? So I'll copy this here, and instead of route, let me post this, and auth middleware dot verify token, and then for the logout method, actually we need a controller function here for logout. Okay, so let me go ahead and copy this request response thing. I'll come back here, our user controller, and I will write, sorry, function logout, and we don't need this fat arrow function right now here. And yeah, I will just put all of my controllers in the same way. So I will just cut it here, something like that. And here, actually, when we are removing our refresh token, in memory, we need to remove it from, Redis client. So I will do await again, Redis client dot, there is a del method to delete it. Okay, and actually we need to get the user ID, so that will be from the user data sub. Now it's called user ID, so just keep the naming same as everywhere. So I will use user ID dot string, and it will delete that. And here is one thing, like say you have a refresh token, you use that to get a new access token, and then you did logout. Okay, now your access token, which was generated just a couple minutes ago, it is valid for whatever time frame you have set it, like 1 hour or 6 hours, whatever time frame you have set it, it will be valid for that thing. So even if you have logged out, okay, anyone can use that token to log into your system. So what we will do is, in this kind of scenario, I will add that access token also as a blacklisted token. Okay, so I will use like blacklist current access token. So it's like await we have a Redis client, okay, and then we can use set, and mostly we have all user ID and token thing, but we cannot, if we will have same user ID, it will just override it. So we need some different key for our blacklisted ID. So what I will do is that I will use new string like BL, then underscore, and then I will use the same thing, okay, the same user ID to indicate that it's a blacklisted token for that user ID. So right now what I am doing is that I am setting token right now here. So at a time it will only have one token, but you can just use this way to manage multiple tokens to blacklist, multiple access token to blacklist. Okay, so this way you can blacklist your current access token, and we don't need this part, so I will remove this. And yep, the same thing, same response, and I will just add this logout as our exported function. save it, and in our route I can just call it like user controller dot logout. Okay, and here I can see typo because for token it's asking login, but in our token actually we regenerate our access token based on the refresh token, because here it's requires user and password. So let me revisit that, and login. Yep, we don't have this that part here, this token part. Okay, so I will just copy this, and here I will create a new say I will create a new controller function. So I will just use function, and let me name this get access token. Okay, and that will have your request, your response, same way. And so let me revisit this thing once again, and this we have request data subject, which will be our now it's called user ID. So again keeping the naming same way all over the places. So user ID, and that will be sent to our subject part, and that will be also sent back to our user ID part. Okay, this generate refresh token function is not using anywhere any async method or something like that, so we don't need any await. And then we are sending back our access token and refresh token. Sorry, I was looking in the login method. Yep, here. So user ID and refresh token, and then we are sending back our access and refresh token from here. Okay, so we need to access this method from our route file. So I will just save it, means export it from here, and in that route file we will just use get access token. Yep, and back to our index.js file. We don't need that. So let's move this also, and also we don't need our logout part. Let's move this. Okay, let me clear all these things. We have one thing left, is the dashboard, and it's not the part of the auth route. So what I will be doing is I will create a new route, and I will name it like, say, what can I name it? Say user.route.js. Okay, user.route.js. Okay, and in this thing, actually, I will just copy all this thing and I will just paste it, because it will require all these things. And mostly, actually, it's this function. If I go ahead and revisit it, it verifies your token. Okay, so let me copy this dashboard part, put it here, because I think it's a get method. Yep, it's a get method, and we don't need all these things. Remove this because we have only one. And yep, it's using the verify token. Okay, and we will put this logic in our user controller. Okay, or this user controller part, you can put it right here, or you can just just copy this same thing, and you can put it like this. Okay, let me just save it here, but you get the idea. Okay, just like you have this in this method, you have user controller, get access token, all these things in your user controller file. Same way you can, just put it that in the user controller JS file, but I will be leaving it right now, right here. Okay, so let's save this. And we are not using user controller, so I will delete this. Let me save this. And back to our index.js file. We don't need this, but we need to add that route. Okay, and for that, instead of auth route, I will name it user route. Okay, and route slash user just require, we will import that file here, and we will use it here with the prefix of user. Okay, this way. So you can see, means our now index.js file is very much clean. Even we don't need this JWT token because it's not used here right now. So it looks very clean. And one thing is left, that we have not set the MongoDB connection here. So what I will be doing is I will first import mongoose, acquire mongoose, something like that, and then we need to connect it. Okay, so mongoose dot connect, and here I will use the parameters. So first one is your URI, okay, your DB connection string, which we'll be using from here. And for that, actually, first I need to get the connection string. So actually, I have MongoDB already running on my local system. Okay, and then actually what I did that I just downloaded MongoDB zip file from the MongoDB site and just extracted it at any location. Here I have just extracted in the downloads. And for running, actually, I am using MongoDB daemon like this. This is the MongoDB daemon running on my local system. And actually, if that is not installed on your system, then you will need to run it. But if you have already installed MongoDB, then there will be no problem. You don't need to run this. I'm just showing you in case you don't have MongoDB installed on your system. So there's no need to install. You can just download it, extract it, and then go ahead and run the mongod.exe. It will run it. Actually, you will need to create a folder in your C drive. When you will first time run it, it will show you that it will show an error message where it will show you that you need a folder like C data. C in your C drive, you will need a data folder, and inside that you will need a DB folder. Okay, so that will be needed, and after that you can just run mongo.exe, and it will run. And actually, you will get all these commands only when you are in the bin folder of your extracted files of MongoDB. So just one thing, if you don't have MongoDB installed. So from here, actually, you can just copy this connection string. So just select this and just right click. It will copy it, or in some cases you will just select this and it will automatically copy it, and you can come here and you can just paste it. It has not copied that. Let me open it again, and if I just select, right click, and if I just paste it, yep, so it's working. So this is the endpoint of your MongoDB. You can also use the online version of MongoDB if you want, and then you need to specify your database name. Okay, so I will use Node.js JWT auth. just a name, and I will hit save, and back to our index.js file. In the connect method, the first parameter you need is process.env and your connection string. Okay, so I will just copy this, come here and paste it right here. And then the second thing you need is a callback method, which will just show you that okay, you are successfully connected to the database. Okay, so console.log, and I will say connected to MongoDB. Okay, and that's done. Sometimes you need some configuration values here, but I will add that if I will get any warnings from here. Okay, so yeah, that's done. And I have already opened MongoDB on my system like this. So in the default installation, you will get these 3 databases. So right now it's clear. And now actually we can run it, but we will need Redis. I have also not installed Redis on my system, and for using Redis, I will be using a Docker image. So I will show you how you can create a local Redis Docker container. So for that, you can open command line, but I'm on Windows, so I will be using Docker quick start terminal. So here it is. And to run a Docker image, you just need to use a command where you can just write Docker, and then you can run then -d as the daemon, and then you need to map the port. So the default port of the Redis is 6379, and actually we will map it to our local 6379. Okay, and then we can give it a name. So I will give it name Node.js Redis, just for this tutorial purpose. Anything you can name it. Then optionally you can pass volume if you want to process the data. So the next time it will start, it can have that same data. In case you don't want that, you will not need that, but I will just show you. So you need to just first give the path of your application, on your system. And I have actually a folder in my E drive that's named Redis Node.js, Redis data Node.js. Okay, already. And I will just map it to the data folder of our container. Okay, then we need to specify what image this container will be using. So I will use Redis, and then you can just write append only. Yes, and this is optional, so it will append all the data. So this is the command, and I will go ahead and hit enter, and it's saying error response from daemon invalid mode/data. So might be this is the reason for that, because sometimes it has this way, and yes, it has started. So if I just write docker list all the running things, so I have one WordPress running, but here I have my Node.js Redis container running. Okay, And actually you can use a extension on VS Code to connect to your Redis database. So this is NoSQL Explorer, okay? And here I have one connection already, but I will go ahead and no, delete this connection so that I can show you a new how you can connect. Okay, so you can go ahead and add the connection. I will put the link for installing this in the description. And the host part. Okay, so actually on my uh, Docker container, my IP is 192.168.99 and 100. So once when you will run your Kickstart terminal, it will show you your IP address. So you need to put that. So I will go ahead and write that 100, and that port is 6379. Only these things you need. And actually I have, this is MySQL, that's why I was saying why the port number is different. I will need to just select this thing, host name, port, and in the Redis we are not using any password. So yeah, only these two things are required. It connect and it's here. If you expand it, you see it's empty. Okay, so yeah, this is how we can connect to Redis, and we have already connected to our MongoDB. Now let's run it. I hope there's not any error. So let's run it. So app crashed, and why it is okay. Await, and I guess this await part is throwing error because we have not decorated it with async syntax. So I will add async here, save it, and again it's failed. And why it is that? Okay, has been deprecated, will be removed events. So we have some issues from the database part, and it's saying to use this thing. So I will just copy this. That's what I was mentioning previously, that you need to put it here, something like that, comma, save it again, and again, oh god, we need new parser to true, use new URL parser to true. So just copy this thing again, and not whole thing because we have already here only this part, and we check. Okay, I have to just right click here. Yep, say this again and hope again it's not working. What is this? Listening to the event on DB class and deprecated will remove next major version connected to. But here I am getting this thing, Redis connection to this one fail. Oh, that's something different because here we have not set our Redis host. So let me go ahead. That's why I was thinking why it's giving me error. Okay, let's save this, run it again, and let's save here because it doesn't track this file. Okay, and here you can see that server is running, Redis client connected and connected to MongoDB, and it's deprecation warning in the future versions, all this kind of stuff. So let's go back to our Postman here, and I will first go ahead and do login. And before login, actually, we need to uh, do a registration thing. But let me first, check this. If it's available, it's saying cannot post login because we have changed our URL endpoints, right? So I will go ahead and create a new uh, registration request. So as you remember, we have now V1 versioning. So V1, and then we have our auth, and then register. Here I have already in this history, and if I get ahead and use the post thing, and it requires a username and password from your request body. So I will go ahead and copy this thing, these two things. Okay, I will paste it right here, and if I hit send, you see it said registered successfully, Raj, and this username password. If I open my MongoDB database, this MongoDB compass, let me refresh this. Yeah, here it is. And here you can see we have this users record. Now we have this username password. Let's go ahead and do login. Okay, so actually we need to just copy this endpoint, and I will go ahead and paste it right here, something like that. Okay, and if I hit send, it says login fail. 401 unauthorized, but our username and password are correct. And why it is, let me check. Okay, when we go to our this thing, it says find one XAC, then it says login fail. It means it's not here. Okay, and we don't have any catch method. Strange how we missed that. Okay, so what I will do, that I will take it and put it right here. Okay, and again I will just send back this error on the front end, means on the client side, but definitely you will not do it in your production environment. So save, it will reload this, come back to our postman. If I hit send, there is nothing. Okay, it means there is some error on that part. And why is that? So we have constant, we have this await, then we have this user, find one, username and password. We are executing this, and if user is null, so let's just for debugging purpose, console.log, and we will write user, and what is our user? Okay, let's just save this, come back to our postman, request again, go back, and you're seeing that we are getting this user. Okay, and this user is not null. It means it's getting some kind of issue right now here. Okay, so what I will do, that I will just cut it and paste it here, Control S. Okay, just to check if we are getting access token. We are not getting any access token. And why is that? Let me put this thing here. Okay, and I will just use this access token, save it, come back to our postman, send, come back to our JWT token authentication, and we are getting that user, but somehow it's not working JWT sign, and geez, we don't have this JWT requirement here. We have not imported it, so that's bad. And we will just do require, silly mistake, will require JSON web token, and let's hit save again, go back to our login method, send, and you get this login success part. Okay, let me just copy this and come back to our dashboard, and here again we will do same thing, v1 slash, and that dashboard is now user. Okay, so we will use v1 dash user. Hope it's not 30-second, it's send, and you're getting hello from dashboard. Okay, and after a few tries, after 30-second, it's expired. Okay, I will go back ahead and use this refresh token to generate a new access token, but before that I will show you our Redis database. Okay, so if I hit refresh, you can see we have this user ID and this token. So if I select this, you will get that this key, this is the key, and this is the token. This is the same refresh token which we have, this JI which we have here. Okay, now if I go ahead and just request for a new token, and put it right here, and if I send, you see I get a new access token, a new refresh token, and this refresh token which was K4, which was earlier say JI, it should be K4. Let me open our Redis, and here if we refresh, previously it was JI, if I hit refresh, you see it's K4. So it's saving that token. Okay, and now if I go ahead, just again let me get a new access token here, because for access token we have only 30 seconds time. You can increase that to like 1 hour. That will be the practical way, but just for this demo purpose I have set it to 30 seconds. And if I just hit send, token is not same as in the store, because I have just by mistake put this JI thing. I have to go and take that token again. If I hit send, here I get this new access token, and if I just copy it and come back to our logout method, so say v1 slash auth, auth, and here if I just paste it, hit send, here it's taking very long time. So it's taking it's took like very much time. So let's check what's the issue in this. So back to our code. Here it says token is not defined. Okay, so let me go back to our logout method, and yeah, we have not provided the token to our function. So actually we will need that token. So right now our verify logic, this verify middleware, this is the token which is checking that token. So we will need this token for blacklisting it. Okay, so we can add it right now here. So we can just add request dot token. I will just add it to the token property, and then we can use token. Okay, something like that. But here one thing comes in my mind is, what if a person tries to log in using the blacklisted token? So we need to verify that also. Okay, verify blacklisted access token. Okay, and we will do this Redis client, then we'll do get, and we will just take this format. Okay, this, because we are storing it as BL prefixed keys in our database, and what we will do that, to get the user ID we will use decoder.sub, because we are storing it in the subject part, and then again that callback method we'll use fetcher function, and again the same old thing, if there is error we will throw that error. Okay, and if the data, okay, so this data is stored as simple string, so there is no need to use any sub keys. So if data is equal to token, it means that incoming token is the same blacklisted token. We can just return, okay, something like that. Okay, you can use 403 if you want, and I will just say, for now I will just use blacklisted token. Okay, we don't need to just pass any data part here, and this next callback will be moved up here because we are using this callback method. Okay, so that will be here. Let me move these two lines, save it. Okay, check not any other files are still pending save. So yep, back to our Postman, and now if I go ahead and do logout, it says session is not valid because of course our access token has expired. It has only 30 seconds. I will just copy this thing. This is ZM this time. Let me delete this, post it ZM, and hit send. Invalid token. Token is not in the store. Is this correct? Let me check. If I hit refresh, you can see means this token was somehow deleted. So I will just delete this key. Okay, we will start from the beginning using Postman. So I will do logging, and I will go ahead and copy this token, and if I go ahead to our logout part, provide it and hit send, again it's taking too much time. What's the error? Now again token is not defined because I'm not I am not means I have added code here, but somehow I didn't use that token. Okay. Coming back here to our method const token and request dot token. Okay. Save. And let me hit refresh. You can see that key is already deleted. So you can just hit refresh here and it will show you the keys. Okay, now let's come back to our postman. Hit send, get a new access token, and let's get this access token, and we can go ahead and select the dashboard. Hit send. Yeah, we are getting the data. It's sent multiple times. After 30 seconds it will be invalid. Come on, be invalid. Yeah, it's now invalid. And let me get this refresh token, and here we'll go ahead and paste it. Let me first check if that token is in our cache. So here it is. It's there, and let's send it again to get a new access token. Here we have our new access token, and let me go ahead and provide it to our logout method. It's send. We are getting this success true. And if I go ahead, this was the user ID, and if I refresh, you can see it's now added blacklisted token with the access token which we use. Okay, this CE part, if I go and show you, this is the CE part. So this is the access token which is getting blacklisted. Okay, also in Redis there is a property so that it will automatically remove the things. So based on the expiration time, you can set the expiration time in Redis. Okay, so you can look it in that Redis documentation. So this was how we can implement JWT authentication in Node.js project. And this is a very basic way to implement it. There are many other ways, and that will depend on your business requirement, how you want to design your application, how you will manage your refresh token, what you will use. You will use JWT, or you will use a simple GUID or UUID. So actually it depends on your business requirement. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.